just falling in the perfect spot for these companies to be able to take advantage of it. And of course, they're going to be taking advantage of it. That's exactly what they're doing right now. It's where coincidence and opportunity have collided for these guys. And it just so happens that your money, your hobby, and your enjoyment are caught in the middle of it. Ironically, this is happening at the worst possible time for us because the console wars are effectively dead. Exclusivity is largely gone at this point outside of Nintendo, and these guys don't care about pushing their games to be able to make profit. They're trying to profit off of their services and off of their hardware now. All the stars are aligning in the wrong way for us at this moment. There is so much money hatting going on in AI right now. It's just absolutely crazy. Every single one of these companies has their hand in each other's pockets. If you see where some of this money goes, you see one company gives it to another, that company gives it to another, and then it goes straight back to the source. They're just circling all this wealth while squeezing us as hard as they possibly can, trying to make as much money off of us as they possibly can and force us into poverty is what it feels like. Probably actually exactly what, I don't want to talk about that right now. I mean, NVIDIA and Microsoft are the biggest perpetrators here, and both of these guys have cloud gaming services. They have no problem with hardware prices spiking and people not being able to get into higher end hardware. That sounds great to these guys. And they're going to continue to expand. They're going to continue to invest. And they're doing that off of the back of investments that they're getting from private and public investors and also from the government. It's insane. These guys effectively have price control over the hardware industry because, well, they can just order them out of stock. Well, right now this is limited to higher end hardware. It's going to trickle down to lower end hardware. I've seen some people talk about, well, I'll just buy DDR4, it's cheaper. You're not the only one thinking that. And because this scarcity is largely inauthentic and inorganic and is being controlled, well, that means that they're just going to affect those markets regardless. And the same thing goes for console markets as well. They can use the exact same excuse. No, because the data center expansion, sorry, the GPUs or the RAM or whatever else is too expensive for this console. It's going to have to be more expensive. They're going to push it there too. And the reason why is because these guys do not need hardware to be able to make money off you anymore. It's not necessary for them. They can farm the people who can afford it, and then they can push those who can't into subscription services and cloud services where they can feed you ads or you pay a monthly sub. Doesn't that just sound lovely? Now, I'm sure it sounds great to these guys. I'm sure they're all in on this idea. And if I was in one of those rooms, it would probably sound pretty good to me. But this entire thing is incredibly risky for them to do. Not because anybody's actually going to come in and try to interrupt it. That's not going to happen, at least not for a while. But they're under the assumption that customers are going to continue to chase them wherever they go. We're chasing the highest end hardware, the highest end games, but that's not necessarily what's been happening. See, the question they need to be asking themselves is what happens when players go in a different direction entirely? Because that's exactly what's happening right now. Not to interrupt the flow of this video, but man, it really sucks that we even have to be talking about any of this. We should be celebrating what this industry is capable of, especially with the Game Awards right around the corner. I've been eyeing a second playthrough of Expedition 33, and every time I think about that game, how confidently it ignored all of the noise, how it cuts through everything, all of this industry's nonsense. It reminds me of how things could be, how things should be, and it also reminds me of how disgusting these executives are who want to drag this hobby into the mud for profit. I genuinely believe that these major hardware and software companies think raising the price floor is going to guarantee them victory. If people can't afford new hardware, they're just going to default to cloud or whatever subscription service pipeline that they want to shove us into. And once players are trapped in those ecosystems, well, then these companies have full control. They can raise the prices, they can tier their access, they can lock features behind a monthly fee, they can do whatever they want. They can even slide ads in with almost no friction. That is the future that these AAA publishers want. Now, the problem for them is that I don't think this plan is actually going to work in the real world. It's built on the assumption that everybody needs the highest end experience, that we are all desperate for cutting edge AAA titles and will follow the industry wherever it tries to push us. But that ignores the biggest risk in their entire strategy, one that is already happening right now. What if people don't buy in? What if players stop chasing high end entirely? What if they split into a different direction, a shift that ends up starving AAA while fueling the rise of studios who can thrive without expensive hardware? Now I'm going to give you guys two business terms: demand destruction and market bifurcation. Demand destruction is when prices stay so high for so long that people just stop buying a product altogether. Market bifurcation is when a market splits into two groups that behave completely differently. The haves and have-nots in this case, if you will. And we're seeing both of these happen in the gaming industry right now, even if the shift has been relatively slow. Just take a look at Steam's latest hardware survey. NVIDIA's brand new 50 series GPUs, they're not even in the top 10. They're not even in the top 15. The 5070 sits at number 16. The 5060 is 22nd. And all their other high-end cards, they might as well not even exist at all. The top 5 are dominated by lower-end 30 and 40 series cards, and the GTX 1650, a 6-year-old GPU, is still holding strong. People are not upgrading. And when they do, they're choosing the cheapest, most sensible option they can, either because of the cost or because they don't see any reason to chase higher end hardware anymore. I think that this industry has completely misread this. I think that they're looking at these numbers and assuming that people want the highest end hardware but simply can't afford it. But that doesn't really track with reality. The Switch 2 broke US console sales records by selling over 2.4 million units in only 3 months. And nobody believes that that's cutting edge hardware. People bought it because they wanted the games, not the specs. And beyond that, these companies are operating under the idea that players want to upgrade just to be able to play the latest AAA releases. But why would anybody want to do that anymore? Why would we want to spend thousands of dollars on a new rig or a console when these games come out broken day one? Borderlands 4 is still a performance nightmare, with the developers issuing apology after apology. Monster Hunter Wilds tanked all of its momentum and its reputation because it couldn't run properly either. These are two of the biggest AAA releases this year, and both of them are defined by the same problems. There has been a sharp decline in sales across the board for AAA because people just aren't impressed anymore. And that's the part that these companies don't really seem to understand, is that when your games don't justify the hardware stops selling. When the hardware stops selling, the high-end market freezes, and AAA is going to be the first thing to suffocate. What I think is happening right now, and it's only going to get worse for the AAA industry, is that with these rising hardware prices, especially if they bleed into the next generation of consoles, it's going to effectively put a stop to high-end gaming entirely. They are building a price wall that people cannot climb, and in doing so, they're going to destroy their own demand. Players do not trust AAA enough to be able to justify a $70 game, let alone a $1,000 console or a $4,000 PC upgrade. And if they're not buying the hardware or the games, well, why would we be interested in the services that are tied to them? What is the point of cloud gaming or subscriptions if the games on those services aren't worth our time? All that I think is actually going to happen is that this market is going to split. They're going to accidentally fuel the rise of AAA even further, which honestly is this industry in its purest form. Smaller teams, lower budgets, higher creativity, more original ideas, and no need to chase higher-end hardware. These games are targeting mid-range or even older systems by design. And when you look at what people are actually playing this year, Expedition 33, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Escape from Duck-Off, Mega Bonk, Ball Pit, even Stellar Blade and Arc Raiders don't need a 5090 to run well. People can get everything they want without buying any of this high-end hardware at all. The funny thing is, when you zoom out on all this, there really is only two futures that are ahead of us right now. One is the one that the corporations want, and the one is the one, well, players are actually moving towards right now. The corporate one is pretty obvious: expensive hardware that nobody can buy. Cloud gaming is the affordable alternative. Subscriptions stacked on top of subscriptions. Ads baked straight into the experience. A world where every part of gaming is metered, tracked, monetized, and controlled. That is the endpoint that these guys have been building towards for years. Because in that future, they own everything, we own nothing. But there's been another future that's been forming underneath their feet this entire time, and it's one that these guys just haven't planned for. It's a future built by AA studios and mid-tier teams that have been making incredible games that run on any hardware that people actually own. A future where the most popular game doesn't require a $4,000 rig or a $1,000 console. A future where creativity outperforms fidelity, where studios that are willing to take a risk end up defining the industry more than the ones that are burning $500 million on another forgettable game. And I really think that this entire thing should terrify these AAA publishers. They should not be trying to lean into it. If these players stop upgrading, if they stop buying into high-end, then AAA is the one that becomes an endangered species. The budgets stop making sense, the audiences shrink, and the only people that are going to be left thriving are the teams that never needed cutting-edge hardware to begin with. Because at the end of the day, we're the ones that decide where this industry goes. And if the industry starts building a future that we don't want, well, we simply just walk away. I have a strong feeling that outside of Grand Theft Auto 6, if it actually releases, next year is probably going to play out just the same as this year. There's just not going to be a lot of winners in AAA. I mean, more than half of the nominees for Game of the Year this year were all independent or indie studios. And that's not just, oh, these are just for the awards. No, these are also some of the most beloved games by players and also some of the highest selling games that we've seen all year. And that's going to leave these guys with not a lot of other options. I know some people are probably going to say, oh, well, then they'll just start making AA games themselves. They'll just stuff these services with AA and they'll stuff them with indie games. But that really doesn't make a lot of sense. What is the point of your subscription service or your cloud service if, one, I have the hardware, so I can play those games regardless anyway, and two, those games are cheap to begin with? Why would I want to pay $30 a month plus to be able to play games that I could buy for $15 to $5 in some cases? Doesn't make any sense. I mean, Game Pass, I know right now is about $30. I can guarantee you it's probably going to climb to 35 or even 45 next year. Who knows how that's going to go? And that's more than most people spend on video games in a month. It just doesn't make any sense. Nobody needs it. I don't need it. I can tell you that right now. This is an incredibly dangerous path for the games industry to be following right now. And it's also something that they really shouldn't be supporting. I just don't see a lot of movement in hardware. And helping to push those prices even higher, you're going to starve yourself, because I just don't see a lot of people that are chasing some of these new releases. Sure, we've seen some movement, we've seen some buzz, but I don't know if you guys have noticed this. With a lot of these AAA games, the minute that they come out, the hype around them dies like that. You just stop hearing about them entirely. Battlefield 6, I think, is probably the only one that I could point to this year that has actually kind of survived for the most part. But Monster Hunter Wilds, that game just absolutely tanked after its first month. They haven't been able to sell, I don't even know if they've even sold another 1 million copies past the first 10 that they sold in that 1 month. That is crazy. That is not good, man. That is not good. And when we're starting to see equipment dive off of a cliff like this, you're going to have to come down to meet those players. And if you're not willing to do that, you're in a lot of trouble. I can tell you that right now. I'm curious to know what hardware you guys use. I want to know what people are actually using, because I can see a Steam survey, and I talk to people in our community Discord. If you guys don't engage in our community Discord, you should. It's a group of absolutely fantastic people, but most people there are
So in 2026, we're in an age where a lot of people understand that things are becoming more and more unaffordable. We're in a day and age where looking good on social media, to a degree to most people, matters more than the way that their standard of living actually is moving. And with this being the context context of society today, and subsequently the context of this video, I have a different message related to money, a different message related to life. Now, me personally, I've always been somebody interested in trying to accumulate money. I run my own businesses. I am trying to essentially get rich. I'm not going to lie about that. That is a big ambition for me. But at the same time, one thing in my mind over the last year particularly has changed. Now, I've always known, and many of you already may know this, or you may not, that things don't give you happiness. Alongside this, when you get these things, whether it is financial things, to a degree, whether it is some life things, a lot of the time it doesn't change your outlook on life or your actual internal feelings at all. And then what we end up with subsequently is people chasing for the next thing. So, for example, if you have no car, you might want to get a car. Then you might want to get a premium brand. So you go from having a basic runaround to now having a Mercedes. But then you can have a Rolls Royce, then you can have a Lamborghini, then you can have a Bugatti. And the list can go on forever, right, to a degree. And this is the same with houses, this is the same with especially jewellery, watches, clothes. This is the way that most people live in 2025 into 2026. It's the way a lot of people live. And it's actually quite funny, but we already know this. These are the things keeping most people trapped. Now, I am of the belief that money that you enjoy wasting is probably not a waste of money entirely. So if you are genuinely a car fan, and it's always made you happy to have that, I don't know, E30 BMW, that's fine, right? I think that is fine if you can afford it. However, most people aren't in that position. They have this car or new cars for a flex. They have luxury living because it's something that they feel promised or perhaps deserving of. But in a day and age where many people hate their job, many people don't entirely realise that these are a lot of the things keeping them trapped. I was talking to some friends the other day about this related to my specific life and my moves going forwards. Now, the thing about me, guys, is I'm not really bothered entirely about these flashy things. I would love a Lamborghini, but I'm not bothered if I don't have one. What matters to me a lot more is having my freedom, having my independence, and having my sense of genuine self-worth. And I understand that deep down, none of these things come from financial assets or financial milestones. Not for the most part. So, the question that I get from people day to day is, if you run your own business, if you make X amount of money, why do you have a 30-year-old car? If you make X amount of money, why do you want to go and live in this city, not this city, right? Because, and the answer to these things, and this is where the application comes, and this is where it can apply to all you guys, it depends on what you want to pay for. And I don't mean this in financial terms. Everyone looks at this in financial terms. I don't think it's that simple. We all pay rent for something in some way. So, for example, how can I word this in a way that makes sense? You might have a cheap house, right, in a worse part of town or a worse town. The price that you pay for that is financially less, but it may be that you are in a worse area. It may be worse, it may, so the cost might be cheaper financially, but it may, to a degree, have a financial cost, in other ways, or a mental cost in other ways. Then you've got other people who will have a very, very nice house, financially it's expensive, but also they have to work all the time, so it's time expensive because they don't have any free time. They are wasting all their money, so they're stressed all the time, they're not making progress. And this is the thing. What do you wish to pay for in 2026? And I don't mean this financially, guys. I really don't. I mean this in regards to everything. Financially is a big part of it, but I mean this in regards to everything. What do you value? What do you want to spend your time and your money on? Does it make sense for you to spend £500 a month on a car lease for a car that you don't care that much about? Does it make sense for you to have a luxury apartment when your rent covers 60 or 70% of your entire income? And if the answer is yes, great. That's absolutely fine. No issues with that at all. I think that's absolutely fine. But if the answer is no, and if you're the sort of person who hates working all the time, the sort of person who hates the financial stress of the high price of living, right? There are certain saviors, and the first one is just rejecting, in my opinion, the materialistic, consumerist mindset that is pushed onto us today. We're told to buy everything, but to be honest, guys, it doesn't change very much. What really changed a lot for me is truly gaining freedom. And this means a lot of things to a lot of different people, but to me, just to sum this up so you can understand where I'm coming from, it means having time freedom, it means having locational freedom, it means having freedom of choice because you can choose what you do with your time and when you do it. These are the things that to me are, at the moment at least, and my view on these things can change. I'm not going to say it won't. Maybe in 2 years I'll look back and say this is not what I think anymore. That's fine. But to me now, these things are much more important than driving around in a brand new car or living in a really expensive area of town. I'm more than happy to sacrifice those things and keep my free time, keep my happiness, keep my, to a degree, mental health, all of these things, and also keep my ability to grow, because all of these people, especially financially, who are on the edge of what they can afford, they're not creating a future for themselves. They're actually doing the opposite. They are costing themselves, they're paying up front for things that they can barely afford, and subsequently they are not saving. A lot of the money that I make goes straight into savings. So I save that money, and then when the time's right, all of these nice things will come, right? Because there's a plan, because there's a background, because there's a strategy. And if you start off or perhaps approach life with these things, not only do you relieve some of the stress which comes with being in the consumerist mindset, not only do you sort of revoke a lot of the one-upmanship, but you also gain a lot more clarity on what matters more to you in your life. And really, guys, I think that is much more valuable than any of these other things which is being told to us or being shown to us that we should want. So you may agree with this, you may not. Of course, that's fine either way. But I just wanted to share my thoughts on this, guys. Thank you for your time, and goodbye for now. Oh, and also, do make sure to subscribe if you did enjoy the video, because I do appreciate all the support. But yeah, thank you guys, and goodbye for now.
Yo, what's up? Circuit Score here, and today we're going to be reviewing the latest version of Invicta mod list for Skyrim. For those of you that don't know what Invicta is a medieval style mod list, and from when I've done my testing in the past, it was actually kind of a darker version than I've seen, but it actually looks like it has been brightened up a little bit. And this is a pretty cool mod list. Here on the Nexus mods page, we can scroll down, we can actually look at the change log. And I don't think this changelog has been fully updated because the version that we're going to be downloading today, from what I've seen on the Discord, is going to be 0.9.3.0. But this still has all of the changelogs up until that update. You can go ahead and read about what's left shift and right enter, and it did not work. All right, so there is a frame cap also.
The ale is going bad. We need to get a new batch.
That was weird.
Did you hear me?
Yep, ale's going bad.
Do we start out with any items here? All right, we probably should put on, some clothing and whatnot. Oh, so these are all equipped. Ring of lock picking. Okay, cool. And looks like that's about
Don't have
it.
potatoes in your ears after all. Just make sure we get a fresh batch in.
What's she doing? Whoa! What
You're
up,
that visitor been
Delphine?
poking around.
Poking around? I live here. Like to rent a room? No. I just appeared in this room. Get out of here. Whoa. This is a way different. Whoa, hello. They've got a nice waitress. Jessa.
Is there something I can do for you?
What up, Jessa? All right. Wait, what have you got for sale?
Drink for the thirsty, food for the hungry.
Oh, she's just like a waitress, obviously. That makes sense. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So the NPCs are lush, just say that. This is a very interesting inn. This is way different. Different NPCs too.
We got rooms and food. Drink too. I cook. Ain't much else to tell.
Little different dialogue.
All right,
And if you're seeing the FPS here, we're getting about like 90 to 100 FPS.
I'm the
They essentially implemented some very different changes than what you've seen in a lot of mod lists, but this one is actually a lot more bright compared to some of the screenshots that you'd see like on Nexus Mods page. So this is Riverwood, and I know a lot of you guys are thinking, well, wow, this doesn't even barely look like Riverwood. But this is pretty much like where you would start in Riverwood, and wow, this is really cool. It's got like a different little bridge here with your windmill. I actually really like the water too. This actually all looks very good. I'm a huge fan of this, like compared to the last update that I checked out. So let's just see what time it is right now. All right, so 10:43, and it looks like it's got your like fast wait timer. I don't know why I pulled out my mace there. It definitely did not hit that button. These roads look good. Definitely different roads too than I've seen. But they got that photorealistic thing going on. And it is definitely putting a pretty big load on my system. So right now we're getting about 55 FPS coming through here. It's like, it means that it is really pushing my system. But like with all the different buildings and the lighting effects, this is very unique compared to like what I've seen with some of the standard mod lists that I've tested. Like, wow, this is honestly crazy. It makes me want to like go around and check out some of these areas. Like this has a little like balcony up here. I like these houses too. They look really cool. Everything's just very unique. It's a huge change from 0.8 that I tested like This is going to be a tough one to roll. I had a... It's really good. I mean, so run. I'm sure most of you guys are very aware of that. Oh, it looks like there is... Try to hit Alt. Oh, Alt is still run. Okay. I thought it was like doing a roll animation, but it is not. It's just your standard run. Doesn't look like there's anything too crazy with like combat mods or anything either. Looks like it's just pretty much your standard combat. See if they'll let me in.
I heard the gourmet is hiding out somewhere in Skyrim. You know,
No?
fellow
We're
who
good?
wrote that cookbook.
Who wrote a cookbook? What is this dialogue? Wow, this is cool. Same roads, it looks like, from Riverwood with those like kind of rocks.
We'll pay whatever
I don't
it
think I've
takes, but we
ever
must have more
seen this
swords for
road
the Imperial
before.
soldiers.
I just can't fill an order that size.
Maybe
on
in
my own.
Nulvis,
Why don't you
but
swallow
definitely
this?
never in Whiterun.
Ask Yorland
So they got rid of
Railroad.
the boards. They used to have like
I'd sooner
boards
bet
coming
my
through here,
needle
like
than
planks.
Stormcloak. Besides, Greymane would never.
I'm gonna
make
go ahead and
steel.
see if we can clear up the day. Actually, this will be a good chance to test out the wait timer. I hate slow wait timers, and this is a slow one. I like the ones that are like super fast. It just like goes there like almost instantly. But anyway, we're doing testing. This is your wait timer, and it looks like we are gonna be able to get it.
Have
Be
it your way.
a
I'll
little
take the job,
brighter
but
outside.
don't expect a miracle.
Man. Dialogue was a little rough there. A lot of people talking over each other. Kind of got like almost like a fog going on here, like with the sun. Very different NPCs too.
And you won't be disappointed. Satisfaction
Like
guaranteed.
very unique NPCs. I know I keep saying unique, but honestly, everything about this mod list I've seen so far is very, very unique.
I know
So
your
this
family's
is
honor is
cool.
important to you, but we can't afford it.
It took me weeks to find that thieves' den. I can't stop now, and I can't get the sword on my own.
All right.
So you're willing to starve.
Let's go check out our standard shop. We always like to go into Arcadia's.
Watch what you're doing.
What? I mean she's closed. Like the middle of the day. Oops. Trying to hit my wait timer. It's 12 o'clock. How is she closed? That doesn't even make sense. Maybe Bellathor's is open?
Dog.
No? Strange. Alright, I guess we can go to the keep. Maybe Arcadia's will be open when we come out. And oh, I guess we haven't really done a whole lot of our performance testing. I am trying to do like that, like I said, both at the same time. Not too bad through here though. Looks like about like 60 to 70 FPS, which is
It's a
pretty
shame,
solid.
isn't it?
Actually, I was actually expecting lower compared to what we were getting in Riverwood. 78, 81 through here. All right. Dragon's Reach. This looks about the same from, well, from the last version of Invicta that I tested.
Here is your reward.
I bet he's gonna tell me
You might
to
be a
stop talking
guest
to
in
him.
Dragon's Reach, but you're
Yeah.
starting to try my patience. You should be talking to my
He's
steward.
like, why are you talking to me? Alright, fair enough. Fair enough. Potion Master.
I'm so angry I can hardly stand it. Father promised me.
Cool. Nothing too crazy in here.
It takes a while to make a dress.
See if we can get into either Bellathor's or Arcadia's, and then we'll check out another area. Might check out like Solitude. Okay, so she's got the assistant. I've actually seen this NPC from, I think, an early version of like... Oh, no, this is from Nulvis, for sure. The same NPC for her from Nulvis. 100%. I like the glowing potions too. I really do like that mod quite a bit. Pretty solid. Actually, this overall is a pretty like simple Arcadia's, but with the lighting and the different mods and everything, it's a nice touch.
And I'll be happy to serve you.
Apparently I knocked over the table or something. And the performance is about, well, I guess it depends on where you're looking, but anywhere from 80 to like 100 depending on where you are.
Browse to your heart's content.
The upper area. There's just a guy up here. What is happening? What is that? Oh, it's like bread. Doesn't look great. There's a guy up here eating bread. Do you know there's a guy up here eating bread? He's like, no. I'm like, yeah, it's my cousin. He always comes over here. That's where he eats his bread. Alright. Enough messing around. Let's check out another area here. And hopefully it'll work. I might have to disable some mods. We'll see. But there we go.
These are our truffle duck fat fries with a side of artsy aioli. Does anybody here need an IPA?
You scan the QR code with your phone.
You look really uncomfortable over there. You're not vibing with the small metal chairs? This is a $37 burger. And if the QR code's too confusing, you can look up on that chalkboard up there. Oh yeah, wait till you try that special sauce. We got Hugel Squire wheat on draft. Yeah, it's a hazy. I saw you looking at the brick aesthetic on the wall with the ambient lighting. This isn't your typical burger. Yeah, we strictly play Tame Impala, Hosier, and the Lumineers in here. That's our vibe. Our bathrooms are dimly lit, so I hope you brought your flashlight. You like my black gloves? Just a couple college dropouts with a crazy idea to start a gastropub. I made this burger. You like how hard this burger is to eat? Don't you dare cut it in half. I've been growing out this man bun since 2007. This is a homemade spicy ketchup. We don't have any of the regular stuff. I wear the same red checkered flannel and apron to work every single day. Wait, shit, I'll be right back. I forgot to put a toothpick in your burger. Just give me 1 second.
Don't reject yourself. Do not attach your value to what someone else determines it to be. Guys, I'm sorry about the stains on my shirt. They're not what you think they are. Guys, look, I'm driving through New Betty right now. I'm driving through New Betty, and my opening hook, right? I have a lot to talk about in regards to rejection, kind of. The world rejecting you. Maybe you rejecting yourself. That's the worst thing that could happen. I think I experienced something like that in my life. Somehow, some way, I'm not exactly sure, but what I can tell you about definitely is last night. Because today is Thanksgiving, guys. Hallelujah. Is that what you say on Thanksgiving? Oh, hello, Hyundai. Hyundai? Last night was Thanksgiving Eve, right? We all went out to, I literally just walked over that bridge. I walked from home over this bridge back to the bar because I was smart. I had a couple drinky poos, you know, a couple Drinkington Joneses, and I got absolutely hammered, you know, absolutely shit-faced. And I had my keys on me, you know, in case my parole officer is watching this. I had my keys on me, and I could have, you know, theoretically, I could have driven home. Literally, it's a 1 mile drive. But I was like, all right, I'm not gonna be retarded. I'm not gonna drive, bro. So I didn't. I just walked back in the morning. But I had my buddy, I'm not gonna name any names. I had one of my ex-boyfriends drive me home, right? And we were hanging out all night, and we met up. His buddy was there too. He was cheating on me. And then we met up. We randomly I saw some guys I played soccer with in high school. And then one of my ex-boyfriend's buddies was with them. So like, it was like a whole big kumbaya, you know? It was great, great success. So we all met up and we had, you know, like Thanksgiving Eve rave at the bar. We had our own rave. Bro, we were dancing at some points. It was fun. Just seeing a whole bunch of random people. And what happened before that, I got rejected. This was day 1 of rejection. Part 1, chapter 1, scene 1. Last night was Wednesday, right? So there's stand-up, the usual stand-up at one of the bars that we went to anyway, right? It was perfect. It was like the perfect storm. It was busy, and we're gonna have stand-up at the bar where everyone's going anyway, and I was like, yo, I might have a legit crowd tonight. Oh shit. Mr. Kia of Dartmouth. So I was looking forward to it. I was so, I was like trying to get the sun in my eyes. That's not gonna work. I was so ready for it. I was so amped. I was like, this is gonna be sick. I was ready. Tuesday night, I had killed it at Wait and See Comedy in Fall River. I killed it, and I was ready to kill it again on Wednesday. And then I walk by, and as I'm walking into the bar, I hear someone yell from a car. I'm like, he's like, yo, oh, oh. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, is he yelling at me? And he was. It was Brian. Brian, the guy who looks like the cool guy meme. You know, the chill guy with the hands in his pants, rubbing one out. And he's like, yo. He's like, the mic's canceled. Bro. I was disappointed, and I was like, damn. But remember how I said months ago, separate disappointment from emotion. there wasn't even any emotion attached to it. I was like, well, at first I was like, damn. Kind of like, you know, my plans are all thrown out the window. All these things that I kind of planned in my head, even just the visions of like making a huge crowd laugh, out the window. See ya. Gone. Like, no longer exists. So that made me disappointed. But I didn't get upset about it, because I don't get upset about anything. And then Brian was there, and then actually, another comedian was there. This guy, Mark, who I had seen in Providence. I hadn't met him. I hadn't met him. And I was like, yo, I was like, I remember you. Because I just remember, I don't know, I remember people, dude. He didn't remember me. Because he doesn't give a fuck about me. And I was like, yo, I said something stupid to them. And then he said to me, what did he say? I said, I remember you. And then he's like, oh, you strike me as the kind of person that I want to forget. And I was like, oh no, he said something so mean to me. Bro, it's just a joke. And this is the thing, another rejection. Nah, it was funny, we were joking, and then like we started talking. But you could take that personally. You could take that personally and be like, oh my god, someone's saying something mean. And that's like all of comedy, and that's why I keep referencing that, because that's what I talked about. That's what I talked about with my buddy last night. Sorry, my ex-boyfriend. About how like when you're rejected, about how it's not personal, and how you cannot, like I said at the start, you can't attach your value, because like your value is like who you are. You can't attach that to what someone else thinks. Oh, I'm beating the deadest horse there ever was, there ever is, there ever was, there ever. He's dead, so was, you know, he's in the past tense. We gotta turn this on to all these stains on the window. This guy's driving 20 miles an hour. Not gonna lie, guys, I'm still hammered. I'm hammered. My blood alcohol content is 0.5% right now. Ah, that's rookie numbers. It's actually 0.9. How high can you... If you're over 1%, that means you're dead, right? Or is it 1? Well, no, not 1%. Is it? No, not 1%. Now I'm forgetting. If you're over 0.08, you cannot drive. 0.08. So if you're at 0.5, that's like ridiculous, right? And then if you're at 1%, what's like the highest ever? Like, what's the world record? Yo, I guess I should go back to the bar and find out. I'm at the bar drinking nonstop. They're like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm trying to find out what the world record is for blood alcohol content. So I have to drink as much as I can, and then I have to drive, get pulled over, and then just immediately ask for the breathalyzer. Like, I need to find out now it's wearing off. I need to know now. Well, last night was so fun, but there were like, we were all together in a little group of guys, and then like this kid Alex, his girlfriend was there, or I think it was his girlfriend. She actually, so funny, his girl works at the same school that Danny's girlfriend works at, and she talked about this story about I think I could talk about it. I don't know, any teachers watching, any like superintendents watching my videos? I doubt it. This teacher who slapped a kid at this school, and she was there to witness it. And I'd already heard the story from Danny's girl, and I was like connecting the dots. I was like, oh my god, this is like, whoa, small world, you know, small world. Small world. I'll show you a small world in my snow globe. Bars. I got bars. I got bars on bars on bars, guys. I'm literally going for a joyride right now. I mean, I'm gonna go get Dunkin' right now. You could get Dunkin' anywhere. You could probably just crash your trees into the woods and get Dunkin' in Massachusetts. But I just wanted to go for a drive, so I'm literally going for a joyride. It's 8 o'clock on Thanksgiving Day. And I just went for like a 1 mile walk. And as I was walking, I was like, "Again, this is so nice." I never go for walks because I'm very instant gratification, dopamine, brain rot kind of guy, you know? I'd rather scroll Instagram Reels for 5 hours than go for a walk. It was such a nice walk. The sun is shining, and it was a little bit cold, but it's not bad. You know, once you get moving, you feel good. You feel good. But yeah, we were at the bar yesterday, and so a couple more rejection things happened, bro. You know, it really feels like rejection, but life is about rejection, bro. I'm telling you. And even like, I think even now that I do stand up like consistently, and I talked about this with my buddy, I was like, you have to find the thing. Like, you're getting rejected by random fucking girls at a bar, and then you attach your worth to that because it's almost as if you cannot find your value, you cannot find your self-worth in something outside of that. And I was like, you need to find that thing outside of this shit, because then once you have value, once you realize that you feel like you have value outside of the bar, you come to the bar and you talk to a random girl and you're like, "Hey, blah blah blah," you know, you want to, like, I don't know, get her number, or you want to, like, "Hey, let's go on a date," or, you know, you want to take her home right now. Okay, fine. That's always my goal. I want to take the male bartender home. Ooh, shaken, not stirred. All right, every normal business is gonna be closed now, but Dunkin' is not. They call it Dunkin' now, Dunkin' Donuts. Dunkin' Donuts is not gonna be closed because they are inhumane, fucking slavery operation. There's no one on the road, which is nice. It's always nice to drive on a holiday. No, I was gonna make some joke, but no. What holiday do you not want to drive on? Porsche 911. Anyway, I didn't really there was so much that I talked to him about. I feel like I got it all out, and I don't want to talk about it, but I just talked about like my day, basically, like today and last night. And you know what? I actually might go into Dunkin'. I don't know if I want to do the drive-thru. I don't want to reduce my existence to a car. Are they open? Wait, hold up. Wait a minute. You know what? Fuck it. I'm committed. I'm committed now. I'm going to Dunkin'. I didn't think that place was the other coffee shop was open, but there's a guy sitting outside there. What? No, I'm going to Dunkin'. Because like I said, Dunkin' is absolute, like, is retarded. Oh, that's what I wanted to say. There were these two chicks that my ex-boyfriend was talking to. And I'm just gonna park right here, like prime parking, because I'm just an asshole. Oh, shoot. Told you I was drunk. He was talking to these two chicks. And I went over and I was like, "Is this guy bothering you?" I guess. Is this guy bothering you? That shit was funny in the first place. And then I started saying retarded. Like, I started saying that I was retarded. And they're like, "Don't say that word." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I doubled down and I said it 10 more times. I said that shit 10 more times. And they, like, were getting upset, and I was like, so then once they got upset, then I just left, because I'm not gonna, like, be a dick, right? But if you're gonna tell me to not say that word, that's like telling a kid, like, "Don't steal a cookie from the cookie jar." Anyway, just a great example of, like, I don't know what it is. People feel like, you know, no one has been kind of held accountable. No one has, like, and maybe I'm just thinking about, like, girls at bars some reason, like, or whatever the girls that we met at bars yesterday. Because you can't generalize, you know, you can't say all people are this, all people are that, but I don't really know where I'm going with this. Like, chicks at bars, dudes at bars. This is the thing, you know, you hit on a dude, same shit, you know. He says, don't say retarded, you know. They're all so sensitive. But they're all so, like, what is text Sardinia to apply? What does that even mean? I forget, but anyway, when, like, people reject you, like those chicks rejected people, me for saying retarded. They rejected my ex-boyfriend, and then, but like, he talked about it later, and he was like, oh, I was like, they said something, right, and then he got upset by it, or like he like took it personally, and that's when I went on the whole rant about how don't let someone else determine your value. It's literally as simple as that. Oh, there's a copper here. Tell me he's not coming. Oh, great, he's coming in here. He's coming in here to arrest me, bro. God damn it. I deserve it. I deserve it. You know, I'm not gonna say I don't deserve it. I said retarded. I said the word retarded. Oh, he's going through the drive-thru? Oh. What a lazy bastard. This drive went by so quick, I didn't say anything. But yeah, no. What else happened? Oh, I went up to a girl and I was like, just started talking to her. And she, like, after I said, like, hello, she was like, I have a boyfriend. I was like, what's his name? She's like, Napoleon. And I was like, Napoleon Dynamite? You're full of shit. And I just walked away. And another example, I could have, bro, I could have taken that personally. It's like I get up today and, man, I can't even pinpoint exactly what it is. But just like how my buddy was upset by stuff about these fucking whatever. He's trying to get some girl's number or something. And I wake up today and I'm like, even in that moment, it's somehow, I told him, like, compare it to when you go up on a stage and you tell a joke and it bombs, you're getting rejected. And I feel like I've done that so many times. Because, you know, I naturally bomb. I go, this guy is actually pulling. Oh my god, dude. The cop pulled up right behind me. I thought he was pulling me over. What the hell? What's he doing? I literally just had a heart attack. Can you guys see this guy? Yo, what? I literally just shit myself. He pulled up right behind me and he just parked, but oh my. You know what was also really funny? My buddy dropped me off at home and he parked on, like, the side of the road and he put his hazards on. And a cop pulled up behind us with his lights on and he walked up to the window and I was like, holy shit. And he gets out and he's like, hey, are you guys all right? And I was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, we're fine. Well, we were just making out. See, look, there he is, Kappa. Oh my god. He has a gun. He has a gun. He's gonna shoot me. He's gonna shoot me in the Dunkin' Donuts. Dude, why do I get so nervous around cops? I'm so nervous. I'm like, talking to a cop is like talking to a really hot girl. Oh my god, I'm so nervous. No, oh wait, there's another cop. All the cops are here. You see this guy? Anyway, oh man, I'm rambling, bro. I told you I'm hammered, so I don't really know what to say. But bro, yeah, rejection. Find something where you can go out and get rejected, because you're living in, like, this world where everyone else determines your value and you can't handle rejection. And bro, life is about rejection. I heard that a lot. I think it's another cliche. I think it's cliche. I don't really know what to make of it, but I just found a thing that I enjoy doing that is outside of fucking chasing girls at a bar, or like looking for yourself in other people and chasing things. It's like you need to chase your own validation. Chase your own validation of yourself. Damn, I really just turn the camera on and I spit bars, and I don't even know. This is all shit that I've kind of heard, or maybe it's all stuff that I'm just taking from my own life and applying it to my thoughts. Bro, chase your own validation. That's great, bro. That's probably been said a million times by a million different people, but like, I'm saying that now to myself, to whoever's watching. Just respect yourself, bro. Just respect yourself. And I don't even know how, but don't give a fuck about what anyone else says about you, bro. Like, think about it. Who exactly are you trying to impress? Who is it? Whose validation are you seeking? Like, is it subconsciously, like, I don't know, your family, some girl, your friend, your coworker, your boss? Fuck all of them, bro. Chase your own validation. Damn, that's fire. See ya.
It seems the Heels Advocate has to make this video about Dwayne, the final boss, the Brahma Bull, the guy who is, it's about drive, it's about power, we stay hungry, we devour, put in the work, put in the hours, and take what's ours. Black and Simone in my veins, my culture banging was strange, I changed the game, so what's my motherfucking name? Rock! Gotta get that desecration, defamation, put it all into the best. I really don't want to make this video about the final boss, but the Heels Advocate has to be fair. So what is going on? This is something that I've been noticing for at least this year in particular, but also leading into WrestleMania 40, this over infatuation of The Rock having to almost separate himself from the WWE. It's almost like when he's in the WWE universe, he wants to appeal to the fat asses, to the neckbeards, to the, to the white trash, to all of the degenerates, right? You know what I'm saying? He wants to just cater to those fans, come in, do his thing. And then once he leaves, he wants to go to Hollywood. He wants to dress up nice. He wants to sit next to Margot Robbie. He wants to sit next to Emily Blunt. He wants to be all punctual, nice and clean. You know what I'm saying? He wants to look all that part. And he wants to be like, soft, laid back, soft, like feminized a little bit. And, like, oh yeah, anyways. So that's what he's been doing, okay? From responding to fans, exposing the business, to completely lashing out to random online creators, to giving fake news, to then just going out on Monday Night Raw, okay, and coming out, right, Monday Night Raw on Netflix. It's the big event, okay, and off the heels of Bad Blood, where he came back and he just made this weird, very, very, when he did the neck slit and then the 1, 2, 3 in the air, you know what I'm saying? So he does all of that just to come in and say it's a fake, it's a work, don't get worked, you're a mark, yada yada yada. So this right here is a prime example of what I'm talking about, and really what sparked me to make this video.
How many wrestling championships has Dwayne won?
I don't even know if this
I was going to say 6, but
I
okay,
said
17.
9.
Wow,
I think it's 17 total.
Wow.
It's amazing. But by the way, let's be clear. I became champion because I was picked to become champion. Okay? So everybody be clear, as we are in a real boxing gym, right?
You know, that's what I don't understand, right? Like having to obviously explain the fact that wrestling is fake. Oh no, wrestling is not fake, Heels Advocate. It is predetermined. It's shut up, bro. You get what I mean, bro? Like, you know, it's like, you know, let's not debate semantics here, okay? So when The Rock comes out and like in the situation, he has to explain that, you know, I didn't become a champion because I was like, you know, better than the rest. I beat them in a fair and square actual competition in real sport. No, it was just because they picked me to be the guy. Obviously. Right? Obviously, we know this, right? So nobody asked for you to do this. Nobody asked for you to explain this because like this buries the business, right? This buries, like, it isn't that wrestling in particular has legitimacy in that sense, but it just buries what you have done as if, oh yeah, that wrestling thing that I did, it wasn't real. Nobody picked me to, you know, like I didn't earn that title. I didn't earn the 17 titles. I didn't earn whatever. It's just because they picked me, right? So by saying that, immediately what happens is, oh yeah, but on the contrary, when I'm in the movie of the Smashing Machine and I'm gonna win the Academy Award or like the Oscars, but I think, you know what, I honestly I think he should win just because of the optics, right? Oh my god, the big bad, you know, movie actor, yada yada yada, the guy that's been getting clowned on. What a redemption story. Whether or not he actually had the best performance of the year is pointless. The narrative behind that is more important than the actuality of the performance. Anyways, that's just beside the point. But him coming out here and saying, oh yeah, it's fake, it's a work, they picked me, it delegitimizes whatever he has done or is going to do in wrestling. Okay, so now we have this right here. Okay, so this was like a post made I don't know how long ago, but anyways, right? So, well, Dave LaGreca was supposed to be off, you know, whatever, right? I don't really know what happened here. In response to a wild rant by Sirius XM Busted Open host Dave LaGreca, The Rock took to Instagram to set the record straight about criticism he has been receiving for not appearing at WrestleMania 41 this past weekend. Okay, so that was what this thing. Okay, so pretty much right. So pretty much right here, The Rock was teasing, right? This fan was like, "Oh my God, are you really not gonna be at 41? Don't believe any of that bullshit." It's like, so either he's lying through his teeth or he's working or he tried to make it happen, but it didn't happen, which is probably what happened, right? Probably he wanted to be there, you know, yada yada, Triple H, but you know, TKO BS, right? Anyway, so let's go out here and read this. Hi, Dave. The business is a complete work. Always has been, always will be. Every aspect of it, every match, every interview. Please join me, Cody, Cena, Brian, and the rest of us for our creative discussions so you can expand your perspective, right? So immediately, two things. It's fake. Calm down, you Mark. Number two, how about you come in and join when I'm meeting with Cody, Cena, and, you know, whatever, right? When we're discussing all of these narratives and plot lines, how about you come and sit down with us, right? Let an outsider come in and see for yourself how we do stuff, right? And then, until then, stop ranting. It's not healthy, my friend. Enjoy the show. God damn. The Rock is like, shut the fuck up. The Rock is like, shut your marky ass up, you fucking neckbeard bum. Who the fuck are you, right? It's pretty much what he's saying. P.S. Tell Bubba I have a Grand Marnier and hush puppies for all of us, right? So, The Rock is like doing this whole like I don't know, like just trying to smarten up everybody, right? So then there was a video of Alan, right? Alan Owens. He's just like an Instagrammer, TikToker type of guy, you know what I'm saying? And he made this video saying, oh yeah, there's one guy, you know, The Rock hates, the one, you know, and then like, you know, he just says, oh yeah, it's CM Punk. As long as like CM Punk is there, The Rock will not allow him to be the main event. That's like his whole narrative in that video. And The Rock actually commented on that post, but he took it down, right? This is what he said. First of all, CM Punk and I have become good buddies over the years. We're solid. Secondly, whatever matchmaking scenario is best for true long-term, not short-term business success, that will be our main event at Mania. Lastly, you are a clown. Right, so this is the second time he's attacking these guys. So it's kind of like, The Rock, right? He wants to make people acknowledge the fact that WWE wrestling is fake, right? Don't take it too serious. But when people want to not take it serious, like for example, this guy over here, right? Where he was mad at The Rock at not showing up at Mania. Do you think that guy's actually furious? Hell no, right? So he's kind of like working, he's kayfabing The Rock, if anything. He's just trying to express what we're all thinking. Deep down inside, does he care? I don't think so. Right? So, or like for example, this guy right here. Like, do you think Alan Owens actually believes The Rock hates him? No, bro. It's just a fun narrative, right? So I believe The Rock is getting worked in these scenarios, right? So he's saying you're a clown, he's attacking, right? So it's kind of like, okay, CM Punk and I have become good buddies over the years. So like, does that mean that you weren't good buddies before that? Because obviously when CM Punk left the WWE, he was saying like crazy stuff about The Rock. He's like, why is it that I'm the champion? I gotta be still like second fiddle to The Rock. The Rock comes back and he beats me at what was it, Royal Rumble or whatever, right? So obviously CM Punk was one of those guys that was whining and bitching when he left the WWE. It's kind of like this big grandiose exit. But now that I'm looking back at it, to be honest, I'm happy that CM Punk left, because honestly, leaving at the top was the best aura move for CM Punk. It's the same thing with The Rock, right? Because if they both were to stay, and if both, if CM Punk never went to DFC, if Rock never went to Hollywood, they were going to fiddle, and just like drizzle away, right? That aura was just going to be gone, and they were going to be like some random guy in a suit backstage nobody cares about, right? So for them leaving and then they coming back, they kind of pick up where they left off, right? So this is another instance of The Rock completely just like breaking down like the kayfabe, breaking down, trying to smarten up the fans. There was like another interview with like Roman Reigns and Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, whatever his name is, and like he was like sitting there with the host, and he was like, like I played his role, the final boss, it's a character, I play a bad guy, a heel. And I'm like, bro, like what is this? Why do you keep doing this, right? And now we're in this like position where The Rock, like at the beginning of the year, he comes out, and I'm thinking finally The Rock is back. Finally, he's gonna go after Cody Rhodes, because if you remember the Raw after Mania, he gave something to Cody in his hands, and then he's like, "Look, I'm gonna give you this thing. I'm gonna come back and get it from you." But guess what? Our story has just begun. Right? You may have beaten Roman, you may have gotten the belt off of Roman, but our story has just begun. Boom. Okay. And I'm thinking, finally, The Rock is back after being, like this like random appearance at Bad Blood. Now this is Raw on Netflix, but suddenly, right, he goes over to Cody Rhodes and he starts like hugging him and like doing all that weird stuff. I'm like, bro, what is this, right? And then you would think The Rock was going to go out there on Raw and maybe start something, right? Maybe start something new. But no, instead of that, he goes in there and he puts the Ula Fala around Roman Reigns. So like after Roman Reigns defeated Solo Sikoa, I saw like The Rock walking into the ring. I was like, holy cow. I was like, is it finally gonna happen? Is The Rock finally gonna turn on him? Right? But no. He takes the Ula Fala, it puts it around his neck, and then he's like, good job, cousin. Acknowledge us. Good job. Right? What the hell, bro? What the actual hell? What are you doing, bro? Right? So like it's like the things that The Rock does in the wrestling world only serves the purpose of harming it. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, bro, it would have been better off if you hadn't made this tweet, if you hadn't, made this comment, if you hadn't responded to this fucking mark, if you hadn't done all of that, it would have been better. If you hadn't shown up to Monday Night Raw Netflix one as like whatever, it would have been better, right? If you hadn't shown up to the lead up to the Elimination Chamber and been like, yo, I want your soul, Cody. I want your soul, Mama Rhodes, right? If he didn't do all of that, it would have been better, right? So everything that he has done, that big, nice build-up, that big, nice run that he had from, 2024 February up until April, right? That spectacular run was amazing, right? But he comes back and he ruins it. He completely ruins it. And then another thing, right? So he ruined this right here with Cody, right? So he buried that story with Cody. Okay. Then this happens. Oh no, you didn't sell me your soul. All right, Cena, turn heel on this boy and let's just start whipping him. Let's just start beating him down, right? And this was the final appearance of The Rock. just standing over Cody Rhodes, helping John Cena turn heel. And let's talk about the John Cena turn, for example, right? Now, he made it clear that whatever happened was on the fly. This wasn't originally the plan, okay? If you watch WWE Unreal, you would see The Rock and, Triple H talk about the creative direction they can go with the story. It's like, it was clear this wasn't the original plan, all right? It was like Kevin Owens was going to be the guy, or like Drew McIntyre was going to be the corporate champ. Like, bro, what the hell is going on here, right? So immediately that was like a sinking ship. And whether or not The Rock showed up at WrestleMania 41 was, in my opinion, not going to matter, right? Because the overarching bottom line of that WrestleMania was John Cena being the Never Seen 17. That triumphs anything the final boss was going to be, participating in at that Mania, okay? It was just not going to be about Rock. And The Rock, in my opinion, realized this. And, he was like, okay, I helped him turn. Now take it from here, okay? And that is pretty much what he said at the Pat McAfee show.
We were moving forward with John, and this idea of him getting crowned at WrestleMania, and becoming 17 and turning heel. I'm sorry, and then being a heel champion. I knew then the best thing for the final boss. We've established this idea of Cody's soul. We can always come back to it. I did feel, and I made the call, I don't want to be involved in that. Step back. Let the final boss step back into the shadows. Let all the spotlight go to John. Let it go to Cody. Let's not make it about Cody's soul eventually or John's soul. No, let's let them do what they do. And
I am not totally against that, right? I saw it from the beginning. The moment John Cena turned heel, it was all about that. It was all about the John Cena heel turn. Nobody was talking about the final boss being there. Nobody was talking about, maybe Travis Scott. It was like, what the hell is he doing there? But the underlying thought was, damn, that's John Cena as a heel. So that took the world by storm. And that is why The Rock disappeared. But you would think, okay, if The Rock helped John Cena turn heel, he was going to help John Cena turn babyface. All right. So going into SummerSlam, literally the SmackDown before SummerSlam, John Cena just suddenly is like, all right, guys, you know what? Hey, man, haha, I'm not a heel, haha, you know what I'm saying? Joke's on me, haha, you know what I'm saying? Let's just go ahead and be a babyface again. That's literally what happened. And then he goes into that SummerSlam babyface versus babyface. So, it was weird. I really expected The Rock to show up. I was literally counting down the minutes. I'm like, all right, 10 minutes left before the show ends. The Rock is going to come back right now, boom. And then it's Brock Lesnar. I'm like, bro, really, bro, really Brock Lesnar? So I was like, bro, we already had Brock Lesnar randomly attack Cody Rhodes 2 years ago, and we still don't have an explanation why he did it. And I was like, bro, he's just going to do the same thing to John Cena. He's just going to beat him at WrestlePalooza, and then he's going to move on, and then we're just going to forget about John Cena losing to Brock Lesnar. So that is literally what happened. And from that point onward today, right now, where is the final boss? Where is the final boss? You know what I'm saying? Where is this guy, bro? Where is the Barama Bull? Where is the People's Champ? I don't know where he is. And frankly, we've seen The Rock, come out and look, skinny and older. I don't know what happened to this guy in the last year, bro. I think, losing weight for the Chicken Man that he's going to play is, I think, something that he's really focused on right now. The Chicken Man is this, I think, from what I've read, this weird artsy-fartsy movie about, something, I don't know, Christopher Nolan's brother. I don't know, man. I'm not honestly, I'm not gonna watch that movie, right? I might just check out some clips of The Rock being in that movie, but I'm not gonna watch it. The Smashing Machine was good though, right? So I really hope that he's gonna get an Academy Award, Oscar win, just because of the fact that, bro, let's just have some aura, right? Let's just, you know what I mean? I don't care about the Oscars. Nobody cares about the Oscars, but people will watch the Oscars if you're gonna give it to The Rock, right? It's just a big redemption story. So we can give that to The Rock, and we can finally have The Rock stop with this Oscar baiting, performances, whatever. Let him come back to wrestling. But it really is saddening to realize the fact that The Rock is simply just sick and tired of like this BS WWE like, you know, routine. Oh my god, will I fit in this? No. Will I not? Okay, boom. Okay, so oh yeah, oh, we thought that we were gonna fit it in for WrestleMania 40, but you know, they're chanting, we want Cody, finish your story, and now I gotta step aside for Cody, and now it's gonna be a triple threat. So I mean, like a, you know, like a tag match, you know, that was cool and all. I like that fact that The Rock came back and, you know, he kind of had to step aside and he created the final boss. That was good. You know, it was a nice accident that came out of it. But ultimately, I truly believe that if we had The Rock versus Roman Reigns, that would have, you know, catapulted the WWE into a new realm. I believe that it would have pushed it so much forward that Cody was going to benefit from it. Roman was going to benefit from it. The Rock was going to benefit from it. You know, look, at that point, right? At that point, The Rock, I mean, like, he might have been the only guy to beat Roman Reigns clean. Okay. So if you think about it, Roman Reigns has beaten Cody, has beaten LA Knight, has beaten Logan Paul, has beaten Cena, has beaten Bray Wyatt, has beaten Braun Strowman, has beaten everybody, Sami Zayn, Jimmy Uso, Jey Uso. He's beaten everybody that you could think of on the roster. So who could possibly beat this guy? Well, it might be a guy that he hasn't faced yet, and it just might so happen to be, you know, the High Chief. It might just be the legend, The Rock. So if The Rock comes back and beats him, that is not a bad idea, okay? Because the idea is that we need somebody of the same power scale. And because The Rock was gone for so long, the question becomes, oh yeah, you know, is he the guy that lost to John Cena, or is he the guy that beat John Cena, or is he even better than what he was when, you know, after he lost to John Cena at WrestleMania 29, I believe it was? No, right? We will just have to wait and see, and that is a question mark. The biggest question mark is always the best WrestleMania match. Okay, it was just same. It's the same thing that happened to Cody and Roman the first time around at WrestleMania 39. It was like, oh my God, who's gonna win? Is it gonna be Cody? Is it gonna be Roman? Right? We didn't know. You know, I remember watching that match with Inner and John, and I was like, bro, like I'm all the way Team Cody because it's time for a change. Let's make it happen. And then I see Solo Sikoa's fat ass just, you know, spike Cody Rhodes. I'm like, all right, bro, I'm out. And I literally was out. I watched that Raw, and as soon as I saw like Cody Rhodes get picked up by Brock Lesnar, I turned it off. I literally turned it off, and I didn't watch wrestling that entire year up until The Rock came back. That is literally what happened. Okay, so the idea of The Rock coming back to beat Roman Reigns isn't preposterous. Oh, but he had a 4-year streak. It's got to end somehow, right? It's got to end somehow. And if The Rock beats Roman Reigns by any means necessary, he might even turn heel. He might have made the final boss happen even after beating Roman Reigns. You know, like whether or not that is a good idea or not is besides the point. It was literally to further the position that we would have been in today, in today's WWE climate, right? Because he didn't beat Roman. You know, they had a tag match, whatever. But Cody still got the title. And look, 2 years later, 2.5 years later, we are still in the same position. Literally, we are still in the same position with Cody, with Roman. What has really changed here? Can you please explain that to me? What has changed, right? If The Rock got the title, we could have had Roman take it back. We could have had Cody take it off of Roman. We could have had the rematch. I don't know. You know, maybe I'm just being like too like, you know, positive about this. But I genuinely believe that we would have been in a better position if The Rock simply was, you know, main eventing, or simply just came back to confront Cody Rhodes, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, if he got the title off of Cody Rhodes, that would have done the job as well. You know what I'm saying? You know, it is what it is. We are in this position. You know, the last time you saw The Rock was 8 months ago, right? 9 months ago, 10 months ago, whatever, bro. You know what I'm saying? I really hope we get to see the final boss, the actual final boss back. Not The Rock, not Rocky Maivia, not Dwayne Johnson. I want the final boss back. I want him angry. I want him mean. I want him to draw blood. I want him to just, you know, hit his forearms. Mama Rhodes, look at your son, Mama Rhodes. That's all I want from this guy, right? So all of this kayfabe breaking nonsense, BS, you know, like, you know, going after the people, this has to stop, all right? I'm sick and tired of it, Rock. Please, bro, if you're not going to lock in, just lock out, all right? I'm the Heels Advocate. C-Jax, roll my outro, and I'm out.
4 letters, 1 word, heel. Yes, sir.
Anyhow, speaking of getting money, whether you do shows or not, that's pretty much, well, I guess he's getting money. Old Tony Khan is. Tony's getting money as long as he does shows. Whether anybody watches the shows or not is the more questionable topic, right? But have you seen the list now of the potential buyers of Warner Brothers Discovery? How many people have previously bought all the shit that encompasses Warner Brothers Discovery now, that now somebody else is buying them? We've got like one or two steps away from 3 people owning every piece of media in the United States, Brian, right? Pretty much.
It's gotten bad, yeah. Conglomerations owning it, not necessarily just people.
Well, but you know what, entities. Because there's always one guy at the top of that conglomeration. But there's 3 potential people or entities that are now going to buy or supposedly interested in buying Warner Brothers Discovery, which includes TBS, TNT, and I guess the belts go with the networks, right? If AEW was to leave, would TBS and TNT still be able to have somebody defend their titles?
I think Tony would just change them to a new title. You know, welcome to the true TV champion. I guess that's part of the Warner Brothers Discovery. Maybe it wouldn't be that if he had.
Yeah, see, you wouldn't. See?
The court TV champion. I don't know.
I think they're going to keep whoever the champion is when Tony eventually gets kicked off the network. The champion of each of the networks gets to stay and defend against the other on-air personnel, you know, on Saturday nights or whatever. But anyway, buying or interested in buying Warner Brothers Discovery, in no particular order, from what I understand, Comcast is the entity that now, remember when NBC was the goddamn owner of everything? Now they're just
RCA.
another.
Remember when RCA was the owner of everything?
Yes. They're just a cog in the flywheel now. But that's NBC, and for wrestling purposes these days, Peacock. So one might think that, Brian, again, the relationship may not all be rosy because the WWE finished up their commitments early, right? To get off of Peacock and go over to Netflix and that whole falderall, and NBC moved Saturday night's main event from network television to Peacock. So they've got a relationship, but it wasn't as strong as it once was. So maybe that might mean that if they ended up with Warner Brothers Discovery, if they wanted wrestling, or if they wanted wrestling of a certain level, would that open up Tony to more beneficial treatment from the corporate overlords?
Well, again, Comcast owns USA Network, which is SmackDown, and is a direct competitor with TBS and TNT. A little different because they don't have sports, but, you know, again, there's a difference between WWE and AEW and the perception from media executives, at least amongst the ones I've talked to and people I know. WWE, no matter what we all think of the ebb and flow of the booking or the business or whatever,
yeah,
it's seen as a big deal to people who don't follow it the way we do.
It's the brand to the average person and average executives.
So again, they still have a WWE deal. If they happen to purchase Warner Brothers Discovery, I don't think it's as simple as just slot AEW into previous things we were doing with WWE. They're not going to see them as the same thing. And again, you still have the issue of WWE would be on USA, and they would be on, potentially, still TBS and TNT, all under one umbrella. That would be weird.
Well, I don't think that will come, that they will all be under one umbrella, at least for any length of time. And that's the point of this, is that as the media conglomerates narrow down, not just AEW's, but any potential future wrestling or etc. opportunity narrows down, except those under the WWE umbrella. Because, and I'll give the other potential buyers here in a second, then we'll talk about, I've had experience with dealing with everybody from the local executives at WOAY in Oak Hill, West Virginia, to sitting in rooms with meetings with the executives from the network going on. And I've lived through the changes in the way that TV and wrestling have gotten along with each other over the past 40 years. And your point is valid, is that even if there's a less than cordial relationship, or the network wants to be in the wrestling business, even though they've been shut out of the product they want, there's a chance for a secondary product. That's how the secondary product has usually wormed its way in for the past 30 years. But with there being other secondary products under the WWE umbrella, and with there being so many programs produced by the WWE that can now, in this post-Vince world, with all these wheeler dealers and deal makers, they can be with multiple, the TKO empire can be with multiple networks for multiple programs, multiple streaming services. That's going to be the goddamn challenge for AEW, because it's current now, and for anything else they would ever want to start up ever again. So the other potential buyers, Paramount, which has no wrestling, but has got the UFC and the bull riding, bullshitting things they do. And then Netflix, which one of their top 10 shows is Raw. If Netflix was to buy WBD and all of their networks, AEW would not, what's the old saying? They shouldn't start reading any continued stories.
If Netflix were to buy WBD, you have to look beyond just AEW. You have to think, for a streaming company like Netflix, and they were at it first, they changed their entire business model from the DVDs in the mail to streaming. It's kind of remarkable how early they were on top of that. And they're the leader. But you have to think they would swallow Max, right? I mean, so much of the AEW pitch right now is, yeah, we're doing great on TV, which they say no matter what, but the Max number. We know that Warner Brothers Discovery is so happy with what we're doing on Max, you can now get our pay-per-views at a discount. $10 off from Max. If Netflix buys WBD, they may not want there to be a Max, because they would want Netflix to be the Max. So then you would have WWE Raw on Mondays, and AEW would fit into the same system. I don't know about that.
You would have a new broom sweeps clean philosophy in some cases, but you would have redundancies eliminated. They did that when they merged the UFC and WWE front offices. There was news about that for ages, about how they were eliminating redundancies, 2 marketing departments, or 2 this or 2 that or 2 the other thing. They don't want 2 streaming services, but more importantly, they want to be you again. In the old days, the territories had a hopefully good relationship with a local station in their market. And occasionally it could be something like Memphis, where every station would have taken the program. And other times you lost TV because there wasn't another station that would take the program. But then in the 80s, when wrestling got hot, the local stations in a 5-station market, it would be the number 4 or 5 station, Brian, that would broadcast all the territory shows or the wrestling blocks or whatever, right? They'd strip it on weekends, whatever the case. But it wasn't necessarily the strong major local affiliates, which it always had been before with the local promotion. When they went away, boom. But then the networks over the last 25 years as they've gotten involved and gotten in the wrestling business and started to own parts or get concessions or pay rights fees, but get crossover appearances. Do the Netflix people or even the Comcast people or whoever the people, do they want to be able to say, oh, yeah, we've also got X star in our movie that's coming out or the TV show where he's hosting the guest. Cena is the host of a game show on TBS. None of the wrestlers on their network are big enough stars to host just a regular game show. They have to go. So that's going to play a part. These networks now that are in this nationally, they want the crossover appeal, the crossover opportunities, the fucking stars. They want to deal with the top company, not just for the fucking wrestling show, but for all this other shit and the merchandising and the premium live events. So the fewer there are at the top, the more this is going to squeeze Tony. And are these new owners going to pay more money next time for the same deal that they've got now when they have fewer viewers? And the way he got this show on the network to begin with was at a football party with the guy that was in charge of programming that's already been gone. So now he's a redheaded stepchild twice removed after this move takes place.
And that's with us not being sure if Warner Brothers Discovery actually owns a piece or not. And Tony and AEW have fought hard, I think in the Moxley lawsuit where the stagehand got hurt, to prevent the information from getting out about who truly owns the trust or the company behind AEW. They've fought to let that information out. It's not as simple as Tony and his sister. It was set up by their dad. There's something else going on. And it may or may not be Warner Brothers Discovery, but a lot of people in media who aren't in wrestling think that AEW is owned, at least a small percentage of it, by Warner Brothers Discovery. So that would have to go into the equation one way or the other. And the other thing is, USA Network tried to rebrand like the whole network. I don't even remember. It may have been 20 years back. All of a sudden they had original programming and it wasn't just Rhonda Shear and, the Cartoon Express.
Characters matter.
Characters matter. Those shows all became priorities and those shows were, to them, prestigious shows. But the strength of Raw and WWE to them were, yeah, it's not going to be as sexy to advertisers, but these numbers, and specifically the male demographic, is going to make us the number one network on cable. All these other shows are going to do good. This will put us over the top. That's what became the value of Raw. Again, it's a different playing field now. You could argue that some people, based on the deals, still see WWE that way. We're going to get all these eyeballs from men. WWE's a hot thing. Let's bring it in. They're not going to say that about TNA. TNA. Oh, they're not going to say about TNA. They're not going to say that about AEW. They may say about TNA if WWE keeps helping them. But they're not going to say that about AEW. And we've said it before everything was up in the air about Warner Brothers Discovery being sold. So much of the strategy for the media deals for WWE, it's about getting as much money as you can from everywhere, but it's also about closing doors that Tony Khan won't be able to open. And they've got deals, CW is not even on this list, obviously. They've got to deal with CW. They have deals all over the place. They have international deals, and then they have deals that are just domestic. And a large part of that, and the thing that's going to probably hit the hardest in the next few years, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen in the next few years, will be Tony Khan being shut out from any of these established big partners.
Well, they can say, oh, your group of stations is predominantly Hispanic audience. Here, we have this AAA show for you. Or you'd like something different besides our mainstream stars. We have this NXT thing for you. Oh, but also, we're not a monopoly. We work with this other thing called TNA, and they're just swell. And you can have them on your group of
And we didn't even bring up
and they've
Disney.
got-
And we didn't even bring up Disney. They have Disney too with ESPN. So
Yeah, and they've got multiple programs of their main roster and main umbrella that they can market and etc. So it's getting a little crowded for Tony to be doing the same thing that he's always doing, which we're going to talk about that before this show is over with. But Brian, I'm wondering who it's going to be. Who's in this Comcast, Paramount, Netflix? I wonder if our friends over at Prize Picks are taking picks on who purchases the empire over there that once belonged to poor old Jack Warner, who's sitting in the corner now going, what the fuck's happened to my company? Folks, this episode of our podcast, I'll tell you what's happened to it. It's been brought to you by Prize Picks because it's the holiday season. And that's the best time of the year for sports. You tackle somebody going for the turkey, you punt them in the jaw when they try to pick up the gravy. But you've also got the bowl games, the basketball matchups, the playoff pushes, the visits to the porcelain throne. It's all happening at once. And while you might make decisions every day, such as should I shit Granny's cranberry sauce now or wait to mess my pants in the car, you make all kinds of decisions, but there's one place where it feels good to be right, and that's at Prize Picks. Because after all, Brian, if you are right on Prize Picks, then you basically pick a prize because you can win prizes at Prize Picks by picking correctly. This is a revelation to some people. They didn't know what it was about.
How could that be a revelation? We've been talking about it for a while.
Well, they didn't know. I'm just telling you, there's all kinds of things. You might not know there's an alert new feature. Prize Picks now has early payouts. That means if your lineup gets off to a hot start, you may now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. So what you do is you cash out when it's almost all the way through, and then you send some guy down to the game in a football outfit to impersonate one of the players. He runs out on the field and he tackles the guy and breaks his leg, and you've already made off with the money.
Ladies and gentlemen, no, that's not what we do. First of all, we certainly don't want to do anything that would interfere with these games, and I think that is actually called illegal. So no, we won't be doing that. But what you can do...
Is it legal if they're dressed as football players?
You can sit back in your chair, watch the game, and say, hey, I think this guy's going to do this. And if you really believe it and you think you got your stuff together, make some money, win some prizes. Prize Picks.
Well, that's what you can do. And is your fantasy season already over? A lot of people have reached that age, except for Smokey. His fantasy season seemingly never ends. But with Prize Picks, you don't have to wait until next year's draft, folks, because Prize Picks lets you play fantasy football every week. So if you want to have fantasies involving any type of ball movement, you can pick your favorite players and win when they hit their projections every week. No draft required. It's easy to get a cold this time of year when you have a draft, when you've just got a bathrobe on with no skivvies. On Prize Picks, how you play is up to you, and how you can just be out on the porch naked. They don't care. And if you want flexibility, you can choose Flex Play, where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. So they'll just say, well, he's old and he doesn't know any better here. Give him some money. And also, if you want the biggest payouts, go for the Power Play, which is they'll send it to you in a box. It plugs in the wall. It's a 9-volt.
No.
And boy, that thing vibrates, but it'll fucking get in there.
There's no contact. They won't be sending you anything. You can just go and download that app and get to work, win some prizes,
get
win
to
some
work.
money. Prize Picks.
I don't have to spend a lot of time trying to calculate my payouts, Brian, because Prize Picks does it for me with their payout multipliers, and they just tell you what they're going to give you, and you say, well,
Well, that was the women's championship match. And of course, Jim, a big steel cage match for the AEW World Championship. The champion Hangman Adam Page versus Samoa Joe.
And now we're 4 hours into the show, plus the pre-show. And here comes the cage. And Brian, usually in the course of not just any particular company, but it's as a general course in wrestling, you can kind of figure if you're a longtime fan, they're building this is going to, this is going to be the one. This is going to be the guy's going to win the title. And they went past that point a couple of times with Moxley when everybody's like, oh, this ought to be it. That ought to be it. And he didn't lose. All of a sudden here is Samoa Joe, the babyface beats him clean in their first match. Then he switches heel. And then I can't remember what they did last time. And then now, did you see that this was going to be the climax of Hangnail Adam Page's, triumphant reign as champion? That now was going to be did it seem like that they had built this up where this would be the end of the road for little Rico there?
I mean, looking back now, I guess maybe you could argue they had beaten Samoa Joe so much in the feud that you couldn't believe he would actually lose again. He bled as much as I've ever seen him bleed by far. But I guess we'll get there.
Well, and that's the thing is, I didn't call this. I'm not arguing. I said beforehand, I'd love to see Samoa Joe win the belt from this fucking goof, but it didn't seem like that they peaked this to where most people believed it was going to happen, which is why they pay to see things. But nevertheless, Joe got color 3 minutes in. And then Page took his cowboy boot and hit Joe over the head 12 times with the heel of his boot and covered Joe and got a 1 count. Even if it's Page, who I think is Drek, these baby faces are all so weak. And there was nothing for him to do in this match that hadn't been done already. And it's 2 guys in a cage. They're going to bleed and they're not going to, it's just Page, I guess, but I don't like any of his matches. He does the same shit. Joe's great when he's got as a heel, when he has a smaller, sympathetic baby face that knows how to work, but this was just, Joe bled so much. At one point I was thinking, he didn't really do anything to deserve this. Page has beat him every fucking time. What horrible thing is, and now he's about to die of blood loss. The fans were kind of getting on his side. And Page was bleeding too, but not as bad. But
no, with Joe, you could see it pumping out every time he was taking a breath. Yeah.
But that's the thing is, besides the bleeding, not much happened in this fucking match. Then P00p came out and got the title belt and climbed the cage, but Kingston came out and jerked him down. And while that was going on, literally because they missed it with the camera, they bumped the referee. And Page got a cover, but no referee was there to count it. So Hobbs came out. And I swear to God, they tried to recreate Kane ripping the cage door off. And what we got was Hobbs grabbing the chain with the big padlock that was chaining the door closed and just pulling for a second, and the gimmick chain broke. You couldn't believe it. It was too easy. The idea is not to just clip it and stick it together with toothpaste. It's rig it where it's a struggle, but the giant beast gets the... Anyway, he ripped the door open, but then Page beat Hobbs up. But then Joe got a sleeper on Page, but Page ran him into the turnbuckle. Page hit him with a buckshot lariat and covered him. There's still no referee. Then Hook comes in and picks up the title belt and turns around and hit Page with the title belt and takes his jacket off, and he's got an ops shirt on. So all the time that he was telling Joe that he was mad at him because they turned on him and left him alone or whatever, now he's gone back to the ops, who apparently have the entire Outlaw Mud Show crew of New Jersey in their dojo. And Joe gave Page a muscle buster on the belt and covered him 1, 2, 3 and won the title, but it was not a good match. And it was a rotten finish. And at least Page is not the champion anymore. I can only assume that even Tony realized. Or do you think they do realize? Or do you think it was just time for somebody else to win it? Or did Tony realize that Adam Page was a shitty world champion?
I don't know if Tony realized that. I don't think I can concede that. No. I think they have an idea. I mean, we'll talk about the post-match in a moment. You know, again, I said it earlier. There are matches with a lot of blood that I love. This card had too much blood. This match, Samoa Joe, however he hit it I mean, it was gushing like 10 minutes after it started gushing. There's blood everywhere. So I don't know. You know, you're almost immune to it in a sense, but it's also, it feels like we're getting more and more, not just more matches with blood, but more blood in the actual matches.
Well, they got to outdo what they've done because they've already established a baseline of complete chaos and carnage. So then how do you improve on that? This is the corner they've been working toward for 6 years. They've lost most of their legitimate main event talent. Many others are hurt. The booking has led to they just do the same shit for hours at a time, to dwindling returns based on people getting tired of seeing the same shit all the time. And then, well, can we go to what happens next? Now they've got a brand new world champion. The lights go out, and there's a video on the screen of a burning house. And here comes Prince Nana out on the stage for a big laser light show. And Swerve comes out. Swerve Strickland to a new but still shitty entrance song. And he strolls to the ring with Nana dancing. And Stacy had walked in the room while I'm watching this. And it took him so long to get to the ring. I asked her, I said, how old is Nana? He's going to blow up from dancing. Swerve is the fucking athlete. He's just walking like he don't give a shit. And Nana's trying to put the whole thing in the dancing. Page was still laying there in the ring. It's been 5 minutes since he got beat, but he's still laying there because they want to paint a dramatic picture and they have no idea in their heads when they go over this shit verbally how long all this shit's going to take. And nothing happened. Swerve took off his jacket and stared at Joe. And then all the ops dojo members who are standing there in the t-shirts, they just start feeding Swerve while Joe jumps out of the ring and leaves. And Swerve beats up the op stooges who obviously are letting him and feeding him one at a time to do this stuff forever. And then Page got up and clotheslined one of them. And they played music and that was it. And Stacy, what did I just watch? Is this a parody? What the fuck is happening?
It's a big moment. Swerve and Adam Page on the same side, reunited. He even had the burning house in the video to celebrate the good times.
Yeah, and beating up fucking 12 guys we've never seen before.
You heard the pop from the crowd in the dark because I guess they had to get Nana out on the stage and he, glitters. So they saw him out there. He was doing the same dance he was doing for the other song with this song. He didn't mix it up at all. It's just, okay, another song I'll do the exact same thing to. He's got to be at least 55. But
oh come on, he's not that old.
I think so. What you think that's that? I don't think it's that old. 50 is the new 30.
Well, I'll tell you what, 64 is fucking awful goddamn old either way.
Swerve Strickland, an AEW star, returns. Now you have the Ops, I guess, established maybe a little more as a top heel faction, with Hobbs as the chain-busting power man and Samoa Joe as the devious world champion and Hook as the kid. Shibata as the...
It used to be Jackie Coogan, now it's Hook.
That's right. That's right. Hook. We always talk about Tony doubling down on the things that, like, why? Maybe they'll prove me wrong. Maybe Hook will have a heel run here where you finally see it. But why would you be giving Hook a main spot like this right now? But that was AEW. Oh, go ahead.
It fits the story. It fits the story that Tony wrote in his head, that he comes back too often and he thinks everybody... Tony not only thinks, because of his condition, that everybody can store as many meaningless, trivial, and obscure factoids and happenings and callbacks and remembrances in their minds as he can in his. And he thinks they're hanging on every bit of it because he's telling these compelling stories to himself. And when you watch them in front of you, they come out as gibberish because you don't have the same luxury that Tony did of thinking it up and understanding it.
Well, celebrating 6 years of Tony Khan the Booker, AEW Full Gear in Newark, New Jersey.